Oh, I've been talking all this time and there's been no sound. Let's start this again. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Can you hear me now? How, I don't know how that happened. I guess I clicked the wrong button. That happens sometimes when you're live. I was carrying a whole conversation. I was carrying a whole conversation and y'all couldn't hear a word I was saying. Okay, let's start it again. Good morning. Good morning. Let's start. Hey, good morning, Grand Rising, and everyone. And with the gold and then silver is Chrissy's Corner. Good morning. So good to see you. And we have Brian in the bronze. Jazzy is in the building. Good morning, Jazzy. And who else? We have Chris. Thank you, Chris, for saying there's no sound, but Chris is in the building. Oh yes, Ron is just a talking like that, like everybody can hear me. Holy moly. And Brian says, we can wait. Kelly A is in the building. What's going on? Okay, Bryson is in the building. Let me tell I left my cup in the kitchen. Bryson says, what's up, Ron? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? Welcome to the second half of the month of October. And I'll know everybody the debate last night. Well, this is the second day, not second half of the month. No, Bryson. It's the second day of the month. So just had to give you a little correction there, Mr. Bryson. Second day. We are not in the middle of October. Not yet. Jetty says, I thought my computer was broken. Oh, that was like an April Fool. How about that? April Fool in October. I see Kelly. It says, good morning, everyone. Hey, Daisy. Daisy 1 is in the Daisy 11111 is in the building. Are we live or is this Memorex? Remember that commercial back in the day? Oh my goodness. Is it live or is it Memorex? That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you, Daisy. I got you. Hey, Janet's in the building. She says, greetings all. Hello, Janet. Janet, my dear Janet. Anthony's in the building. He says, good morning. Good morning. So first of all, as we start again, I have to start because I was talking and I was on mute. Anyway, how many of you saw the debate last night? We had our debate party last night, our watch party, and we had about 20. We peaked out about 25 people were in the room at the same time. So we had about 25 guests in our watch party. That was great. And so we had a lot of connection, as in commenting, people were sharing. It was really good. It was a lot of feedback. But yeah, as I was saying when I was on mute, I spent obviously I did not go straight to bed because that's not how Ron goes, because I'm a political junkie. So I looked at CNN, I looked at MSNBC, several shows on MSNBC. I looked at ABC, I looked at Reese Waters. I looked at, who else did I look at? And there was one other group of two guys, these two British dudes. And it was really good. So it was really to listen to the feedback. And also CNN had the panels of people that were watching the debate. And a lot of folks gave it to Walz. And now, see, in the beginning, most of it, I kept saying it was tied. I kept thinking it was tied. But then I started to, obviously, when you are leading a watch party and you are talking and you're sliding things around and moving, you don't get to hear everything as clear and concise as normally would. But most of us in the room yesterday felt the same way. We all felt the same way. We all felt like, it was cordial. It was a little more subdued. It was a little more like, there wasn't as much energy. And, but it was revealing. And a lot of folks were saying, and I agree with them on this, and I think we may have mentioned this last night, is that Vance was very polished. He was polished, but he lied. Most of the everything he was saying was a lot of lies, and he tried to paint Kamala as the president. That was his strategy, and most people were like, Kamala's not the president. Kamala has not been the president for 4 years. She's the vice president. And then I thought back when I was at the grocery store today, I was listening to Rachel Maddow and the whole crew from MSNBC. And the thought came to me of what we learn in, learning school, politics, for those that took a year or two of political science. One of the things they say about the VPs is that the whole job of the VP is to do no harm. And you have to say both of them try not to do any harm to their campaigns. Both of them tried their best not to do harm. And Walz came out the gate a little scared, a little shaken, but he started to get his mojo as the night continued on. However, Vance came out the gate because that is what Vance has been conditioned to do, right? So Vance has the upper hand because this is what he does all the time. He's good on his feet and changing and shifting and kind of like navigating and taking truths and bending them and breaking them and moving them, and he's good at that. And so it was an interesting debate. What are you guys saying? What do you guys say about this debate yesterday? Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. How are you guys? Daisy said, he's a liar. Oh gosh. Yeah. There were a lot of lies from JD Vance. Lots of lies. Thomas says, it's summed up in this phrase: the rules said you wouldn't fact check. They said that is going to be a meme. Tom, you were absolutely right. There was a couple of on the commentators. They were like, how does he say the rules said you wouldn't fact check? As if like, I know I'm going to lie, so don't fact check. So that was kind of crazy. Kimmy Kim says, good morning to everyone. Daisy says, he should have called him out as an outright liar. He's a used car salesman selling piped dreams. And he lied. And lied. Yes, I agree, Daisy. Good girl. The Girls Club says, good morning, RLP fam. Good morning. GIRLS is in the building. So welcome to our Water Cooler Talk Wednesday. We just have conversation. This is this is my favorite Wednesdays, is when we just sit and just chat and talk and express ourselves. And you guys can come on if you want to. Let me get that set up for you as well. Let me get the QR code set up for you. Hold on. Let me get that copied and get that into the link tree. So that way, if you guys want to pop on, you can. And look, it's so many in this community. It would be, anyone can pop up. You're more than welcome. It would be good to see some new faces in the building, right? Some new faces coming up to chat. Okay, here we go. I'm going to log in and I'm going to replace the QR code with today's because yesterday's is gone. Okay, here we go. I have it. Did I get the right one? Nope, that's not the way I want it. That's not where I want it. There. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Touch Base Daily. Join the conversation link. There we go. And paste. Okay, so now you have it. So if you guys want to join in the conversation and come on and create a panel discussion, you are more than welcome to. All you have to do is scan the QR code and you can pop on. Okay, what else is being said? Rosemary, hey, good morning, Rosemary. She said also, good morning, beautiful people. Good to see you, Rosemary. How you doing? Also, good morning. She said back here, she says, and he stated his lies with such ease. It's second nature to them. And that's what a lot of the commentators said. Vance is a polished politician. He knows how to lie and make it seem like it's the truth. And he did that so well yesterday. I see here, Aya says, no need to ask. He's a smooth operator, aka lies in disguise, transform on stage like a Decepticon. Aya, you got a little interesting streak there. I like that. That was good wit. Oh, I gotta read that one again. Hold on a second. Let me say that again. No need to ask. He's a smooth operator, aka lies in disguise. Transforms on stage like a Decepticon. Aya, that's pretty expressive. I love it. Pam says, good morning. Pam Thomas is in the building, y'all. Pam is in the building. Good morning. Good to see you. And Tom says, I love my Tommy Tom. Tom says, Timaraju called Vance a shape shifter for his ability to mutate from never Trumper to Trump sycophant. I agree. And then this is what Reese Waters was saying. We're going to look at, how about this? Let's do Reese first. Do I have Reese up here? Let me bring up Reese first. For those that don't know, I look at Reese every day. He's one of my favorite. Reese Waters. He's a comedian. And he also does politics on. He has his YouTube channel. He is one of my. I love the way he puts things together. He is one of my favorites. So let's go to Reese. Let me just get this queued in here. And you can see, here we go. JD Vance. Okay, we got it. Here we go. And I'm going to share that. Okay, here we go.
We just watched a politician, a very polished, airbrushed, made-up politician in a debate with an actual human being. And Coach Walz, which means that the gotcha moments or the misspeaks will probably be on the side of the regular person because he's a regular person. I will say it was definitely more civil than the first debate, than the presidential debate. I guess that was the second debate. It was definitely more civil than Trump-Harris, which was good to see. But my concern going into this debate was that somebody like JD Vance is trained to excel in these kinds of environments. It is like taking a standardized test. I went to a prep school. They train you to take standardized tests. They don't necessarily train you in things that would help you excel at an actual job. but they help you excel at the things that are supposed to indicate that you would excel at an actual job. So this debate being something that is supposed to indicate whether or not you can excel at a job is a thing that he would excel at, not actually doing the job. If you overlook facts, if you overlook his running mate and his rhetoric, if you overlook his prior stances, then you would just watch this debate. If you just come in cold and you just watch this debate, you would say, hey, JD Vance, JD Vance looks smooth up there. The problem is your knowledge of the world that we live in, your understanding of who his running mate is, and your understanding of his prior takes on all of these things colors how all of these things land with you. So if you come in cold and just watch it, then you could walk away thinking that he did a pretty good job. But if you're going to sit there and actually process the things that are coming out of his mouth in reality, then you're wondering how in the world this was allowed to go on for almost 2 hours. How do you have a debate with J.D. Vance, a senator from Ohio, who has spent the last 2 weeks at least deflecting the terrorism that he has caused in his own state because of comments that he made about immigrants that he has admitted on multiple occasions that he made up, and they haven't produced a single person that will go on record and say these things happened, but he's just going to run with it anyway.
So there you have it. I mean, Reese goes all in. It is absolute. He does a great job in breaking it down. I will put the link to his page in the description. But we got some folks in the background there. I see Jasmine is in the building. What's going on, Jazz? Welcome.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Hello.
How are you? Good morning.
I'm good. Good morning. Are you all rested up from yesterday's debate?
You know what, Ron? I went to sleep. As
You
soon
went
as
to
that
sleep?
debate was over, I was so mad. I just went to sleep.
Now,
I just went to bed.
What made you mad? What made you angry?
I hate liars.
Oh, and he lied. Vance lied a lot
From the beginning. I already don't like him, but just the constant lying, it just was angering me because the thing for me is that these people lie by lying, or they lie by omission, as if we weren't alive. You know,
like we didn't see
when all
none
this
of the
was
stuff
going
that as if we did not see January 6th, like we did not see the Ohio conversations.
Exactly.
Like we didn't, we weren't
like we
around.
don't know what happened with Obamacare. Like we don't know how Trump was mishandling that situation. Like it made me so mad. I just went to sleep. I was so mad that this country is in this predicament. I mean, I think I was madder after hearing him than after Trump's debate. I think because I got used to Trump, you know?
Yes.
It's like you hear him and it's like he just yaps.
He's just
and
a
it's like,
yapping.
whatever. Just shut up. Just whatever. But him, I personally hadn't listened to him for an hour or 2 hours. Like we had to, like we did yesterday for the debate. So I knew who he was, but I didn't know just how maniacal he was. And for me, the fact that we are here in this country and that people still want to throw support behind that,
Yes.
and that the race is so close, it just, I'm like, I can't go through 4 years of this, but
Mm.
there is a chance that we could go through or more
Or more.
years of this. And it really truly angers me that so many people go for the fact that he's a smooth talker, or the fact that Trump is a cool, or he's tough,
He's
which is not
entertaining.
true. He's entertaining versus substance. And I will say that, taking it off of JD Vance, I will say that I know some people were, um, they felt like I mean, not JD Vance, that Tim Walz they don't think he did a good job because he wasn't doing the gut punching and the live fact checking. But I think he was doing what he was supposed to do.
Yes.
He was being true to himself.
Yes.
If Tim Walz got up there and was trying to be Kamala Harris, it wouldn't have been genuine. He would
Yes.
have been just like Trump. He would have been just like JD Vance, not true to the person that he is. And I think him showing his ability to um, have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with someone who he doesn't agree with, that spoke volumes to me. We haven't seen that in politics in a very long time. And I think the other thing was that just the fact that he wasn't hitting it with the 1-2 punch or quick wit like Kamala Harris has, but he was like, I was there when Obamacare happened. You can't tell me anything about that.
That's right. He was one of the people that helped write it.
Exactly. He's like, you can't tell me anything about that, even though JD Vance tried to say, well, that's not true. And it's like, sir, he literally was there, you
Yeah,
know?
he was
So I think it was refreshing to see a debate, an actual debate, even though JD Vance is a liar. And he again omitted a lot of things or just talked in circles. I think it was important for the American people to see that this is how you get things done, by having conversations with people, even if you don't agree. You don't have to do the cutting, like the cuts or the quick wit or whatever. Now, is it entertaining? Yes, but we don't need entertainment. We
That's right.
need actual policymakers. We need actual people who are going to do the work, who are willing to have conversations, and who
Mhm.
aren't going to say, "Oh, well, you're not on my side, so I'm not going to work with you." And I
You
think
bring
that,
up a
mhm,
great point, because on Morning Joe, and I'm going to bring up the tape in a little bit. Morning Joe, they were talking about how because they said Walsh, in his self no his self approval, the approval ratings of him went up yesterday after the
mm,
debate, skyrocket. He has the highest liked favorability in politics,
wow,
59%.
wow,
No one has 59% favorability and likability in America.
wow,
And
that's
they were
amazing.
saying that a lot of us are so used to the crazy,
Yeah,
and we're so used to the Trump years and everything being wild and just in your face, and we forgot what it was like to be statesmanship.
right.
And so you bring up a good point when as you're saying, I was like, oh, I said Jazz must have been listening to what I was listening to. But it
I
makes
didn't
sense.
listen to anything
I
this
know you
morning.
didn't. I know, and you are, and that's what I like about our community here, is that we're the regular Joes. We're the regular folks. We're just watching, we're articulating what we're feeling, what we see, and it helps for we political junkies like myself. This community gives me a pulse of what regular people are saying and thinking and doing. And like you said, people are so tired of crazy that when they see some, and also for the Westerners, these were two Midwesterners on the stage.
Right, right.
And for them, they saw one that was a polished politician, and like Reese Waters was saying, and the other one was just a regular dude.
Yeah,
He was just a regular dude. And most of us, if we were on that stage just starting out, we would have been nervous too.
Exactly.
And he got his momentum as the night went on, and he had such a high favorability. I'm gonna show this tape of let's see here. Let me pop this one out. Stop this one and share this one, and then I'm gonna bring Brian up because Brian is in the back room as well. And but this one's really good with Morning Joe. Morning Joe, how they opened up this morning. And let's see, here we go. Let me get that.
Because as I was nervously preparing to watch the vice presidential debates usually don't matter that much. After watching last night, do you still feel that way?
I do. Vice presidential debates don't matter. If they did, then Michael Dukakis would have been elected in 1988. In this debate, though, there are several interesting things occurred, even though vice presidential debates don't matter. Polls show that Midwestern Nice actually worked despite Walz's shaky start, despite his stumbles on the China answer, which I have no idea why he didn't have an answer ready for that.
Can you guys hear?
I'm a knucklehead. I'll look into that. Okay. And just generally, you had with J.D. Vance, you had the elitist, the guy that went to an Ivy League school, who smoothly knew how to answer all the questions, smoothly knew how to work the format. And I think most people would say he did much better last night stylistically. But interestingly enough, and I've always found this with debates, you never know how something's going to come across. And Mika, when I saw the CNN poll last night that came out, it shows that Midwest Nice really worked for Walz.
Doggone commercial. Hold on a second.
Walz's favorability jumped up 13 points.
Look at that.
Has a 59% favorability rating after the debate, a 22% unfavorable rating before the debate. This is, I don't care if you're on Fox News, if you're AON, if you're on Newsmax, you just have to look at these numbers and you have to say that's extraordinary in modern American politics. For all of us watching, for all the elites watching that say, oh, he looked too nervous at the beginning. Oh, there's something that viewers liked, that undecided voters liked, that registered voters liked about Tim Walz. Maybe that's something that we'll be sorting through over the next few weeks to figure it out, even though it won't have a big impact on the election anyway. And J.D. Vance, his number, yes, he's upside down, 41% favorable, 44% unfavorable. But he also showed a side of himself that he has not shown before. And that is he tried to be more likable. He tried to be more agreeable. The people that knew him before he decided to be a Trumper said that he was a nice guy. He was a charming guy. And he tried to show a lot more of that last night because it's almost as if he got a sense that this election may end and he doesn't want to completely tie himself to Donald Trump. He's 40 years old. He has a future. And while Trump likes going to war nonstop against everybody, you got a sense that J.D. Vance decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna try to salvage my political career, even if Donald Trump goes up in flames. And so that would have all been fine and dandy. And there's no doubt this morning there's going to be consternation in Mar-a-Lago because everybody's saying that J.D. Vance should talk for the rest of the campaign and Donald Trump should shut up because J.D. Vance is so much better at this than Donald Trump. It's not even a close call. I mean, Donald.
So you guys get it. Is that the Midwestern kindness ruled?
Yeah.
It ruled.
But the operative word is kindness.
Kindness.
Kindness is the operative word. Yeah. And I have to hop off in a moment.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make this point to the show brought up the fact that he was 40 years old.
Yes.
And for me, outside of J.D. Vance lying like he was lying, him being 40 should scare the hell out of everybody.
To scare the hell out of everyone.
Because we already see how the maggots have packed the courts with very young, inexperienced judges to carry out their will. And now, if we get somebody like J.D. Vance in office, next to the highest seat in the land, we don't know what can happen with him. I've heard people say, "Oh, he's there to take over once,
Oh yeah,
Trump.
he is.
They're going to take Trump out
They're
once
gonna
he
take
gets
him
there."
out.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I believe that.
Yep. This is
I
a
believe
whole
that.
big plan. The Heritage Society is working with the Federal Society, the Heritage Society and Federal. They have been orchestrating so much in the Trump campaign, all the way back down to where Reagan was in president. So this is a continual. They've been planning and working, and things that did not work, they are replacing it. But you notice that all of the new judges are young. They are very young, inexperienced, and it is no coincidence. Again, I said, does anyone in their right mind think that J.D. Vance, that Trump would allow him to be the VP? No, this guy called him the Hitler, America's Hitler.
They don't even seem like, even
There's
though
no
they are new to each
connection.
other, but there's no connection. They are
None.
tolerating each other to
Yes.
get to the next level. They don't even
Yes.
have any type of even seeming like they could even play nice with each other. They probably just meet up where they have to do a photo op together, don't even talk, walk on stage together, stand in front of cameras together, and then leave and go their separate way. They don't have any type of
No chemistry.
connection, no chemistry at all. And I think the other thing, and then I really have to go. The other thing that J.D. Vance said last night that I was like, I wonder if anybody else caught this, was when he kept mentioning how we shouldn't believe experts.
Yes. Well, you see, they want to get rid of NOAA and a bunch of other agencies.
And I said, but also the Supreme Court overturning the Chevron decision. I'm like, they're telling us right in our face.
They're telling you what they're going to do. And also that the very basis of Project 2025 is to get rid of all of the experts.
And something else J.D. Vance said was, we're not going to have a 900-page document. And I said, 900 pages, like Project 2025. I'm like, outside of people wanting it to be entertaining, if you really listen to these people, they are telling us everything we need to know about what they're going to do or what they're not going to do. I don't care how much he says we need to earn the trust of the American people or women. They don't care. They already have their plans made about what they want to do.
And you know what they say? The old saying is, if you want to get something by the American public, put it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in front of them. Put it in front of them, because most Americans do not read. Most Americans do not have critical thinking. Most Americans do not research. Most Americans cannot critically think, because it's also in these circles, it is now a bad thing to say I'm a critical thinker.
Right. Which is mind-blowing.
Which is what you want. You want critical thinkers everywhere in society. Your police department, you want critical thinkers. Firemen, critical thinkers. Teachers, critical thinkers.
Medicine,
you want
everything.
critical thinkers. Everyone should be a critical thinker. But now it's a bad word.
It's appalling. It's appalling to me. I just was like, that's what I said. I went to sleep. I was just so mad. I said, I gotta go to bed. Because I'm about to explode.
First of all, I am honored that you came on. I'm so glad you came in. As they like to say in the Instagram world, you cammed up.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully I could come on and stay longer next time.
You're more than welcome anytime. Anyone in the audience, like I said, anyone, especially those that have been part of this community for a while. That's why that QR code is there. If you want to come on board and come in and have a conversation, you're more than you just can, scan that little QR code and it brings you straight here. Was it hard to get on?
No, the only thing was hard was the comment. You had a comment up and I was trying to hop on, but the comment was blocking the QR code.
Gotcha.
So maybe put it at the top of the screen next time. That's the only thing.
Gotcha.
But no, it's easy. It's easy to
Awesome.
navigate. All right, y'all. You have a good day. Hey,
Thank
Brian.
you, Jazzy. Thank you.
Talk to y'all later.
What's up, Mr. B? What's going on, sir? Did you get any rest last night? Let me see what. Before we start, let's see what Chris says. Mike Pence stood his ground, and we see what happened. When they tell you what they want to do, believe them. This new wave of repubs are all about being the loudest voice, which equals winner. That is what Chris Baylor says. I say here. Dr. Tachi says about Trump and Vance. They don't know each other. They don't. And you can see how they interact. I see here Anthony says, they know the mission is what's important. There you go. They know the mission, and that's what's important. And I see here, okay, okay, there we go. Everything's in there. Trump knows what to say. His supporters, okay. Okay, so good. We're all caught up. So what are you thinking? You had a good rest. What are you thinking? Where do you think we are? What does the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz campaign, what do they need to do now? This is over. No more debates. Debates are behind us. What do they need to do to clinch this victory?
Let Tim Walz be Tim Walz.
Yeah.
I mean, I've slept on it. I didn't get a chance to watch. I usually watch or listen to Morning Joe when I'm dropping Xavier to school, and either on my morning walk. I wasn't able to do that, but sleeping on it, and I had the debate going again this morning before I had to get into some other stuff, but on mute. So I just looked up and watched body language. But to your question, and not, I'm just a citizen, but I'm remembering not too long ago when he was announced as her running mate, and how what got him the tap to be her running mate was him just being himself when he was on interviews, and Rachel Maddow, CNN, and I believe, I can't remember which program it was, where when JV Vance, when the cat lady video surfaced, and Governor Walz said, "Hey, you know what? You really want to tick?" And I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exact wording, but he was like, "You want to tick off, voters? Talk about cat women. Yeah, good luck with that. See how that fares for you on in the social media streets or whatever." He was just being himself. I noticed a shift. I recognized that even when I shook his hand here in Detroit, the transition from Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, folksy governor, he's wearing typical clothes. The clothes he wears are his clothes. It's not like he's been fashioned by somebody. To, okay, we got to make you look more vice presidential, to a suit and tie, like when they came out when he was formally introduced at the Philadelphia rally, and obviously the DNC. I get that, but again, what I mentioned last night, for those that weren't able to, tap in, I said this last night. From my experience, going into my TED Talk, my speech coaches, it was months and months of preparation, similar to what I assume he did for last night. You get your subject matter deep down in you. Mm-hmm. So where it's like, boom. So now the thing is, now you take another chunk of time in learning how to deliver it where it's natural, where it feels natural, where it doesn't feel forced. And I think what he was doing before was just him being natural. He already knew the subject matter. He knew this stuff. But now I feel like he was over prepared. He knew his stuff. He kind of got settled in, and then he took off. But my concern is, and I mentioned this last night, my concern is that, like Jazzy just mentioned, who stayed up that late? VP or granted VP debates usually don't get as much, spotlight. But it's a Tuesday night, started at 9, ended at 11. They had that first break. What was the drop off in the viewership? And if those that watched that first portion, but to your question, they need to let him be himself. He knows his stuff. He, in their defense, I feel like he did what VP candidates are supposed to do: do no harm.
That's the whole point. The whole point of VPs, the VP model, we learned this in political science, is to do no harm. The vice president walks around with that probably recorded in their head, do no harm. Every time they're speaking, do no harm. Every time they go on interacting with people, do no harm. It's better to do no harm than to put yourself out there. And so Walz did a lot. I mean, what was good about Walz, and a lot of people said that he kept bringing up Minnesota, but he was using his own record to express his knowledge of what he was saying. And he had that to fall on, which is his knowledge of being governor. And so I thought that was really a really good interaction. But here's something I'm going to share this with you guys, and then I'm going to bring Elise on. Here we go. Let's listen to this one. Oops. Here we go.
That is what happened. His own record, misrepresenting his own record, J.D. Vance, on the question of abortion. There's a whole lot to comb through, but he was good last night. That moment, that crystallizes the whole thing. You can't even say that your running mate lost the election.
88 minutes. He was good. I mean, he was too slick maybe, but he certainly was not the kind of despicable character that we've kind of seen in clips of. I thought it was a draw up until that point, and I think that was disqualifying. I think that's disqualifying in the election if you can't say that. I mean, I think that's the issue, that whenever I get into debates with anybody, I go, well, but democracy, kind of on the docket. I want to go back to Kimmel's joke at the beginning that it was boring. And I was thinking the whole time, this is going to be a referendum on what people want going forward. I think the big theme of this thing was that it was very congenial, and it was not a blood sport. It was not UFC. It was more like boxing. And is the American public, your intuition says, well, the American public is ready for that. They want that. But then I kind of said to myself, there's this sick, twisted thing that people are addicted to the sick entertainment value of Donald Trump, and that they were kind of disappointed. I was enjoying it, but they were disappointed. Oh, no, that's no fun. Are we going to go back to that? Now, my better angels in me say, no, people are ready for that. But it's an interesting question. Final thought, going back to what Joe said, this morning at Mar-a-Lago, what's going on is that people are going up as they're getting their Danish and their bun cake at Mar-a-Lago. They're going up to Donald and saying, boy, Vance was great last night, wasn't he? Wasn't Vance great? And that's going to bother him.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to really bother him, that he was better than Donald Trump, that he could litigate the case better than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, you're going to see, he's going to be very dismissive of J.D. Vance in the coming weeks. But Donald Trump is not happy this morning because J.D. Vance showed himself to be a superior candidate.
That's just an objective truth. Put the two side to side. Vance is much, much better at this. And Trump did praise him on social media last night. You did get the sense watching J.D. Vance last night, Jonathan Lemire, that he was aware of his likability being in the dumps of Donald Trump, being this abrasive, caustic figure that people want to look away from, that they're sick of, and to present in those 90 minutes anyway, a reasonable alternative. Now, you could only think that if you only watched last night and hadn't seen everything else he does in the campaign trail day to day in support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, Vance definitely put forward his best version of himself yesterday, and frankly aided by Governor Walz, who the two men were so civil that Walz almost normalized Vance. He never used the word weird. That Tim Walz is on the ticket because he kept talking about how J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and Republicans are weird, and he never used that last night. To Donnie's point about maybe Trump's mixed feelings about the debate, though he praised Vance's appearance, he also at one point mid-debate started tweeting about Pete Rose deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. So perhaps his own attention was sort of lost. But at least I was also struck that the Governor Walz he sort of took a pass on some what could have been some pretty devastating attacks. He didn't mention the weird issue. He never brought up childless cat ladies, just never came up. He didn't talk about Ukraine. And Ukraine, where Vance has made clear he has no interest in supporting Kyiv. He only brought up Project 2025 once. And that's an issue that's been so effective for Democrats. That said, that final minute in January 6th, about January 6th, was Walz's best moment, and the Harris campaign has already cut an ad.
It was the best moment, but it was at the end of the debate, a little late. I was disappointed. I felt like the reasons that Kamala Harris chose Governor Walz didn't really come out last night. The Governor Walz who was joking, who was free flowing in interviews, who was kind of, that guy in your home.
There you go. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, there we go. So you see, you got these mixed feelings, but everyone seems to be on the same page when it comes to Vance. Oh, hold on. There we go. So and Walz, people wanted Walz to be more aggressive in some cases, but then still people understood that he was just being himself. He was kind, considerate, and he kind of like continually did not go and use he was definitely not going in for the jugular or anything. He just tried to keep it as civil as possible. Elise, welcome.
Hi, how are you all?
I'm doing good. How are you doing on the day after the vice president debate?
Well, I didn't watch it all like that. I watched I came in part of your side because, I have a nervous system that reacts to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it kind of kicked in early, and I was like, no, I don't want to.
I'm not having it today.
So, but I think one of the parts that I did come in on and see, and when people ask questions about what Walz didn't ask or say, right?
Yes.
Why didn't the moderators ask any questions about those issues?
But you bring up a good point, because people were saying,
Follow up.
Even though the moderators did a good job in moderating on a certain level,
right,
they discarded so much that should have been brought up. One, Project 2025.
right.
How do you have the guy that writes the forward page for the mandate, and you don't ask him not one thing in 2 hours about Project 2025? I mean, now Trump can deny because, he's not, but you got someone that actually wrote the forward, and the moderators did not dive into that. They did not ask about it. They didn't say, what do you tell us about your connection to Project 2019, Project 2025.
Right. So why didn't they ask those questions? I mean, there are things that they could have brought up, right?
Yes.
They could have brought up the issue of the cat woman and all that, that kind
of stuff. They didn't bring that up.
So my thing is, at what point during the questions was Tim Walz supposed to insert that and not seem like he was wandering over someplace? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So maybe people felt that way, and I think, Vance had to come out and be likable at that moment, right? Because Tim Walz is so likable.
Yes.
That's what pushed him. But today he's going to be himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
he's going to be himself.
It's like Reese,
nasty stuff.
Well, it's like Reese Waters said, or even just what the gentleman just said right here on Morning Joe. He says, if you just took that clip, you say, "Oh, Vance is pretty." He said, "He's okay guy," even though he's lying and slippery. But he can handle himself on the stage. But people, if you look with tunnel vision, you're discarding all the crazy that has been said on the campaign trail for the last 2 months, 3 months.
Right. And so when they bring up the issue of when he starts talking about the issue of Haiti, and they say, well, they're there legally. Well, I didn't think you're going to do fact checks. Why? Because you want to lie recklessly, and that's a CBS thing. Why would CBS not do fact checking? Like,
I love Chris says it. Chris says Vance is another Ivy League silver-tongued slickster. It's simple, and that's what everyone kept saying. That was a common thought throughout. I don't care what channel I looked at, what bunch of commentators were speaking. They were all saying the same thing, that Vance, because you're taught that in the Ivy League school. You're taught how to be polished. You are taught how to look a certain way when you're speaking. Even though you can also taught how to weave and slither through
Well,
without saying your truth. Well, without
that's-
saying a truth.
You're taught to be a
to me,
snake oil
that's
thief.
comes from his legal. He's a
Yeah.
lawyer or an attorney that's
Yeah.
never really practiced a case, but that's a cornerstone of that line of education, of legal education. If you're an attorney, if you're a lawyer and you're in court, you got to, cross-examine a witness who may be detrimental to your client. You want to come across inviting and so those tactics were on full display.
Right.
Yeah.
And
What
so,
time is it? Let me get this. Oh, we're good. We're good.
he's
Go
a
ahead.
snake. He's a snake oil salesman, right?
He's a snake salesman. I mean, Snell. One thing you can say about the pairing of the two, of Trump and Vance, they are both. They can lie like they smell air, like they breathe air. They can lie like they drink water. There's very little separation between a lie and truth. They can move and switch. They live mainly in lies.
Of course. And I think, like I said, I think the moderators should have brought up Project 2025.
I thought Project 20. I thought that was the moderators should have definitely brought up Project 2025, especially when you have the man that wrote the foreword.
Right, to the book. And the one who was so highly praised by the same person that he wrote the foreword for. He was highly praised by that organization when he went there. So that, and I think and everyone's expected Tim Walz. Why would you expect Tim Walz to come out and go for somebody's jugular?
Yeah, that's not his personality.
That's not his personality. His personality is not that.
Well, so for me, when my impression or what I would have loved to have seen, when I say Tim Walz being more aggressive, when I felt like he lacked that, what I mean by that, not aggressive in being like Convict Orange, but more assertive in calling out the lies, like January 6th, or how he does it. He could have been like, well, JD, I disagree with you, but we all have eyes. We were there when January 6th happened. We watched it on TV. Why are you trying to rewrite history? And yeah, he did do the punch at the end.
Right.
But like I mentioned, my anxiety or my concern was that was towards the end of the night. What I want to see the numbers and the viewership decline over time. So getting a good hit in is great, but if that hit was at the end, him being more assertive, more aggressive in the sense of, okay, facts, like pushing back, quickly knowing that, okay, these moderators are like the moderators from the first CNN. The first debate.
From CNN.
Yeah, who were just whatever. These aren't the moderators from the debate number 2 who were like, to me, that was journalism. The point of a journalist is not to pick sides, but truth. And if there's a lie being told, we're going to fact check you. You want to know why we're going to fact check you? Because you're telling a lie, regardless of who it is. And they didn't do it. So as soon as Governor Walz saw that, in my opinion, I don't know, I'm not in his head, but being able to, quickly ascertain, all right, I got to shift this up a bit. They're not here to fact check. Let me try to interweave that in where I can. And that's what I mean by being aggressive, not like I'm not raging, but aggressive. Hey, listen, no, I believe you are wrong. Here's why. Because me and the rest of America, we saw blah, 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 or like with the ACA, he said, what, here's where being old, it comes in handy. I was there.
Right.
So.
Right.
I mean, I think he tried his best on the ability, again, because I've been following politics for a long time, and I know the rule of thumb when it comes to VPs. And again, in the VP's brain, it is wired. It is like do no harm. And so it's better to do no harm and stay stable, meaning you don't need to excel when you're already liked by people. I mean, Tim Walz isn't. He has a high favorability across the country. He really didn't need the moment to prove himself. So he really, I mean, and everyone already knows what he knows and how he interacts on the stand, and people see him in the rallies. This was Vance's opportunity to bring a nicer side to his personality. He already, he had a unfavorability of 44. He only improved it by 3 points. So the thing is, this is a guy that no one likes. This is the guy that people say is the worst VP pick in American history, or at least one of the top 5. And so he had to go in and be nice or appear nice.
Right.
But Walz didn't have to do anything really. Walz just had to just maintain facts and stand his ground on facts and just do no harm.
Right.
Because he kept lifting up Kamala's policies.
Right.
He kept saying Kamala is this, Kamala is that. Or if he wasn't saying Kamala, he was saying, well, my time in Minnesota.
Right.
He stayed right in that pen. It was Minnesota, what I accomplished. This is what Kamala has accomplished and what she's going to do. They stayed right there.
The fact that he called out, here's where, like, I encourage, if anybody can stomach it, now that it's in our past now, you can go back and rewatch it and you can hit pause when JV kept talking about, one, how come she didn't do X, Y, and Z, and in the 4 years or 3.5 years, she's vice president.
Right.
All right. Know your basic civics. And then B, and I'm glad Tim Walz did point this out, because there's a wide swath of our fellow Americans who only tune in once every 4 years, who don't know basic civics. We talk about this. In addition to getting people to vote, we constantly have to do like a literal hand holding through basic civics that maybe some of us either gloss over in grade school, but pointing out to him, like, JV, the president, Congress holds the purse strings.
Again, most Americans, not to cut you off, but most Americans are clueless on civics.
They are.
Most Americans, they don't know anything about. I mean, even the folks like ourselves that grew up with, jailhouse, conjunction, junction, what's your function, or automobile, sitting on Capitol Hill and learning, all this stuff during our cartoon time. We all know that but how many people have learned that? There are our peers that have forgotten it. Like the border is controlled by the Congress, not the president. It's the Congress. The Congress creates laws creates laws for it, as I say, creates the bill that becomes a law by the president signing it.
Or as I said, or not. And I think that's the one thing that I've discovered is I've been kind of into like politics hard since 2019, I would say. Like on that side of educating people, right? And that's been the biggest thing, to find out people have no idea how it works. They have no idea. Like, I went to the dentist the other day, and so at the end of it, we were like, she didn't have any clients when my husband and I were done. And so we started having a conversation. I said, well, the House of Representatives comes up for re-election every 2 years. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, you have to go back every 2 years. And I said, there are also senators who will come up for re-election at that time. I said, right now you got 34 senators and the entire House of Representatives. Now she's a little bit younger than me, but she's like, but didn't know that.
Yeah, most people
who don't know, and they don't know how they operate. They don't know the structure, and that's the thing that we have to keep educating people on. Post
we
it,
have to
repost
keep
it,
educating.
and let people understand that Kamala Harris is the vice president. It's up to the president to decide what he's going to do in the end, and those bills and things that they want come from that come through the House of Representatives, and now they don't want to do it, and then their man Trump decide, well, I don't want you to put that border out there because it'll make him look good. You know, you even have Republicans talking about that now. The fact that they don't have anything and it's their fault.
Well, the whole thing is, what was driving me crazy through the whole night is I wanted Walz to say to Vance, let me get something straight. Since I already heard you once and I'm hearing you twice.
Right.
You're telling everyone that Kamala didn't do. Right. Let me get it straight. Let's go back to basic civics. See, that would have been a nice attack. Let's get back to basic civics. The vice president, which we are both here to try to become vice president. You need to know, and I need to know, that the vice president doesn't sign off on any bill to become law.
Right. But that's their whole thing.
Kamala did this 4 years ago. Yeah. She's been in the office for 4 years. She's been the vice president. And the vice president only does two things. One, he or she shadows the president. In case something happens. She's in the room or he's in the room because they are shadowing in case anything happens to the president.
Absolutely.
That's one role of the VP. Right. The second role of the VP is she's the tiebreaker.
Right.
In the Congress.
Yeah, in the House Congress. And I think, and that's another thing too that I figured out. So people hear Congress and they think that's one thing.
Yes.
When Congress is two things, the House of Representative and the Senate.
Right, exactly. I should say the Senate.
I'm just saying most people don't understand that Congress is not
two branches.
Two branches of Congress. There's the House of Representatives, where those that you can teach on Schoolhouse Rock. It got to come through there first before it gets to the Senate. Yes. I think that's what most people don't understand is that when you say Congress, that's a general term, but the specific jobs that come through the House and the Senate. And I think that's what people get messed up. They don't understand. And I was like, I remember that from, I'm older than y'all. I remember that from when I was in school. Look, I graduated in 1974. I remember that with being in school myself and understanding, how the structure works. And I think that's the part where people have to be educated, because I hear lots of stupid stuff on different platforms. And I was like, I'm not even gonna talk to these people because they're so stupid, but they're so uninformed. I'm not gonna call people stupid.
No, people are not. People are ill-informed. Some people are woefully ignorant.
Oh, absolutely.
Some people are woefully ignorant. Yeah. But I like Anthony says, the VP doesn't sign. However, they get one of those fancy pens after the bill gets signed.
Yeah, they do.
But the thing is, people don't understand civics. And as soon as we can get our country, and this is going to take a generation, because we've lost 2 generations of educating, 2 generations of people that are not, we are operating in a society where people do not know civics. They don't know the basics. They don't understand that this Congress, Senate, House of Representatives, is the worst Congress in American history. They've passed less laws than any Congress before them.
Right, because nothing comes out of that House of Representatives.
Because the House the House of Representatives creates the bills. It sits down with its constituents and says, oh, we need to improve this. We need to improve that. We need to pass a law on this. And then it goes to the chamber. Then they have a special hearing. There's the House of Representatives, a whole lot that goes on there. Yeah. Then after they finish with the committees, Remember all those things you hear about the committees? The committees, once they go from the committees, then they go to the floor, and then the floor votes on it.
Right. And
then it has to go over to the Senate to take it and look at it, to look at all that has been presented. And then the senators say, okay, we agree or we disagree.
Right.
And then if they agree, then the House of Representatives and the Senate agree. Then it goes to the desk
of the president.
Right. And he signs it into law.
You know what I heard there for I'll speak for myself on this. I'm guilty of this in this day and age. Our instant gratification, our ADHD society that I feel like we've slow rolled into, because how many are willing to A, learn how it operates, B, recognize that a bill, how it becomes law, it's not going to happen like in the West Wing or on TV or in the movies. That joint takes a long time to go through that process before it gets to the president's desk. And how many out there are like, man, what do you mean it's going to take X number of years, maybe, or months? Yes, our government, right, wrong, or indifferent, has shown us that when it wants to move quick on something, it will. But you know, that's the takeaway from what I just got from listening, how you broke that down, Ron, for everyone who may not recognize is how the process works. It's like, guys,
so many people don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think, like, going back to like policies, right? Vance didn't talk about any policies, right?
No policies. There were no policies mentioned.
Anyone who at this point says that they don't know what Kamala Harris's policies are, they're being willfully ignorant. They don't want to.
Yes.
And they don't want to acknowledge that they're out there. So they are being willfully ignorant in that case. They don't want to know.
Well, it's the same thing with people saying, I don't know her. Wait a minute. Where have you been for the last 3.5 years? I mean, hello. I mean, we've seen Kamala Harris on the stage doing her thing as VP, traveling back and forth on the stage in Europe, hanging out with the Germans, hanging out with these people. It's just that most people have not tuned in to what's going on in government and what's happening in their government. And then you cannot say over the last, it's been 10 weeks, I think it is. It's been 10 weeks that this woman's been running for president. 10 weeks, not 10 months, 10 weeks. And you still saying, I don't know who she is.
I don't know who she is.
I don't know her policies. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about her. Again, you want to know who someone is? Behind this bush, there's a bunch of books. Everyone that has ran for president in America in the new century has always come out with a book, an autobiography or a biography about themselves.
Right.
Every single person, there's a book, right? And you can just go straight down to the library, pick it up. I forgot the title of it for Kamala Harris.
Right.
She has a book. You can read and learn all about her. But like Brian said, people just want easy service. They think it's McDonald's. I just want a mac and cheese. I just want a soda. And you're going to learn. You got to, if you care about the country, you care about your fellow countrymen, like in Shakespeare, fellow, countrymen. If you care about your countrymen, you will read to understand what's going on. If you don't read, there's something called Audible.
Audiobook.
You can go to the library and you can rent any book in the library. Not gonna rent it, just plug in and get an Audible for free. You don't even have to sign up for Audible, which you pay $16 a month, which I do, $14 and change. But you can go to the library and just plug it in and listen to your books.
Get her book. I was trying to find
there it is.
Right.
Her the truths we hold.
Yes.
Audible.
Right.
You don't know someone, read about them.
And you can listen to it. You don't even have to turn the pages because most people don't want to turn the page. You can listen to it. But they don't want it. At this point, I feel people don't want to know. And as I told my husband last night, I said, there's no such thing as somebody who is undecided.
Oh yeah, Mimi says reading is one thing, but comprehension is another.
Now that's true. And that's what I told my granddaughter. I said, now reading is calling words. Comprehension is understanding the words you just called.
Yes, it's very true.
And so many people like reading is fundamental. They don't understand. It's insanity.
Chris says, those two generations you said, reading isn't all that fundamental with them.
Absolutely.
Unless it's something about, I don't know, Sean Combs or whatever.
But you know what I find interesting though, you know, because I sometimes I give the millennials and everyone else after the millennials a hard time. The young people that have committed themselves to service, they are like
they're all in.
They are all in.
Yeah.
You can't. I've listened to some of these young people, and you sit there like, holy moly!
Yeah.
They know what they're talking about. They know where they want to take this country. They know policy. They know what's going on in government. They know how to. They know why they want to change things. They know there's a portion of this generation that is so versed. I mean, and it is to be commended and to be respected. But unfortunately, there's probably 75% of our country that is not well versed.
And that's unfortunate.
And that's unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate.
I wanted to point out something else that I think it was last night, or I don't know, last night or this morning, but why vice presidential debates matter or who's going to remember this. And for those that are thinking that, my response or my perspective or opinion is that when we're voting for when we're voting for president, we're voting for vice president. In my opinion, we should say we're kind of voting for two presidents.
Absolutely.
Why vice presidential debates matter? We can go back as recent as Richard Nixon, when that his second amendment. I mean, Agnew had to resign because he was dirtier than dirty.
Right.
Agnew, yes, right.
Gerald Ford got tapped, and then next thing you know, within a heartbeat, Nixon's out. Gerald Ford, boom, ascends to the presidency.
Right.
When Reagan was shot, and we didn't know how. You know, which way was it? Bad? Was it serious? Was it not serious?
It was very serious.
Right.
Yeah.
They step in. Right. They step in when the president can't.
You're looking at, okay, the first Bush, who was vice president at that time, would have ascended to the presidency. And then in the most recent history, I point out how if anyone hadn't taken vice presidential picks seriously or vice presidential debates seriously, I know my reaction when Senator John McCain tapped Sarah Palin and she walked out, and I was like, "Are you serious?" Because he was old, and I'm like, she's sitting up here like I could see Russia from my house, like, dude.
Well, she cost him the election. John McCain would have won if it wasn't for her.
But she's crazy. But the important part for America to remember is this man, Vance, is one heartbeat away from being president.
That's right.
And I don't believe that they are. If they got in there, I believe that something would happen with the head of the ticket.
Yes,
he would take over, and I think that's part of the plan, right?
That is the plan.
Understanding we one heartbeat away from this man being your president, who hates women, who probably wears more makeup than I do, but he hates women.
And he wants to do a lot of things that are in. Remember yesterday we just talked. We shared about his connection to the people of Rage. And if you haven't seen the documentary or the show snippet from Rachel Maddow 2 nights ago, please see it. It gives, if you don't know JD Vance, you will know what he is about. And again, I will say it again, Trump is the Trojan horse.
Absolutely, because
they're using Trump to get him into office. This is not about Trump.
Right.
They don't like Trump as much as we don't like Trump.
And
they're using him,
and he was chosen
to get JD in.
JD Vance was chosen by the Heritage Foundation and Federalist Society.
And as soon as he was chosen, the head of the Heritage Society said, "We got our man.
We got our man. Right.
We got our man in."
Right. And that's what people, and they need to show that over and over again, that Project 2025 man said, this is our man, and he's going to do what we want him to do. And I think that's at the end of the day, people have to be focused on that. And
Project 2025.
I see Black people out in the talking crazy. I say, please, you all know what? Those camps, they're going to be preparing for you.
When they start taking your children, because guess what? They want detention camps.
Right.
They want to deport 25 million people. How does that even work? No one knows.
Right.
How do you deport 25 million? Where are they going? Number two,
I mean,
if you are Black and they're saying, "Oh, we're going after the Haitians," or "We're going after, whoever,"
right?
We all are Black. We're all Africans.
Right.
Do you think they're going to make you know what? He speaks French. Oh, maybe not. He doesn't speak French. Oh, he's Haitian. Maybe, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's Dominican. Maybe it's Jamaicans. Maybe it's Belize. It could be anyone. We all are Black Africans.
Birthright citizenship.
That's right. They want to get rid of birthright citizenship.
That is. I always tell people, understanding where that came from, Black people in particular.
Yes.
Understand where that came from, because we at one point, our ancestors, those of us who are descendants of enslaved people, which I am, so they were not considered citizens.
Yes.
And then they were, before, for political reasons, they were 3/5 of a citizen, of a human. So they had to have a law in there so they would become citizens of this country. That's where all of this stuff, and especially anyone who's from another country, and you have that right. Once you have children over here and you become a citizen because of that birthright, you need to understand that's because of Black people in America, the formerly enslaved Black people, that you are there, and understand if they came after Kamala Harris, they could come after you, they could come after anyone.
Yeah, but the whole thing too is that people don't understand why certain laws, especially the amendments of 14, 15, 16 were because of Black people. But not only did Black people benefit from it, women benefited from it, white women benefited from it, poor people benefited from it. Those laws benefited everyone else, but they were truly because of how Black people were seen in this country. And people don't realize when those rights are gone,
right?
That means everyone's rights are gone.
Which is what the Asian students are learning this year.
Yes.
Because they're upset and they want to sue because their numbers went down. But guess what? You asked for this. I saw it in the news yesterday. You went to fight against affirmative action, and you didn't realize that, hey, you were the underrepresented group. That's you in there with all of us. And now you realize, and now you're mad. Now you're upset.
I saw that in the news yesterday.
What is your lawsuit on now?
Well,
it can't be affirmative action anymore because you helped destroy that.
Yeah.
To 2 points of and then I have to hop off.
But I want to let guys go now. It's already 11:25, so we gotta let people go now.
So one point that we've and this brings me back to something we've covered before. I broke it down, but it goes back to look at history and look at the playbook that they're taking pages from with Hitler, Germany, the Nazi takeover, and when they slow walked from a democracy into a dictatorship,
Right.
it took years for them to get back. And Germany is back strong, but it wasn't. It is not what it was pre World War II and pre Nazi Germany, because they voted. They actually voted for the things that Hitler wanted. You know,
they voted for their own demise.
Against, that's one. And two, and I've been mentioning this often lately, and if you indulge me, I'd like to read this again for everyone. And it's the German theologian, his famous poem, why this matters to me. Think about this. For Martin Niemöller, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.
Right.
Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So I think about that. I'm not a woman, but I'm going to speak up for my sisters. I'm not LGBTQ plus, but I'm going to speak up for my LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters and community out there. You know, you can fill in whatever group, in my opinion, in that poem, but that's why it matters that we keep fighting. And this election, it's close. We have to come out in overwhelming force.
All right.
We have to continue to knock on doors. We have to continue to not get distracted with, in my opinion, BS of P. Diddy and all of that, like Eric Adams in New York. All of these things can continue to go on because, you know, we don't live in a bubble.
Let's not be distracted.
Right. Now stay focused.
Well, you have the last word, Brian. That was it. That was a good way to close. They came for that person, and I did nothing. They came for that person. I did nothing. They came for that person. I did nothing.
Then they came for me.
And then they came for me.
And there's a line in the book Caste that she writes that someone said before they knew what was happening. By the time they knew what was happening, it was too late.
It was too late.
And that's what we have to understand. Before you all of this stuff, don't let it be too late.
Don't let it be too late. We gotta vote, guys. We gotta vote. Thank you guys for joining me today. This was a great conversation. Man, you guys rock. I mean, you guys are in here. Thank you, Chris Baylor, for you've been on fire, sir. You are sharing in the chat, and Mimi and Daisy and Jazzy and Anthony and Girls Club. All of you guys, thank you so much for sharing and being a part of this community. This community is a community. You are more than welcome to be here to support, to encourage us, and to encourage one another. We are here to support and build up one another. I love that we have a community. You don't see any negativity. We don't believe in that craziness. We are here to support and build up one another. And that is why we have this community. That's why we're here every morning, joining in, and we touch base every day to connect and to build up one another. So tomorrow is our Trend Watch Thursday. We'll be talking more politics tomorrow. And I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about because today there's a lot in the news. We still have the what happens in the Middle East. That's going on. That's something we need to be looking at. And also, guys, can I just send out, you might want to stock up on some food because of the dock workers strike. Now, that's not to send panic in the world.
Yeah.
But if this dock situation goes longer than needed, you might want to stock up on a couple of canned foods, a couple of little things that you might need, because guess what? If this thing continues, you're going to start to see less things on the shelves.
Right.
And then if there's less things on the shelves, guess what happens? Inflation goes back up.
Absolutely. But
inflation goes back up. So
that's a whole different conversation, Ron.
That's a whole nother. We'll be talking about that tomorrow.
The relationship with the president of that part of the union.
Yes.
And the previous president.
So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But guys, if you start thinking about stocking up a little bit, don't go crazy. Just get a little extra here, get a little extra next week, get a little extra. I went out today and got my little extra canned goods and said, you know, I may need some of these. I may need some of that. I know some of the things that are usually off the shelf that I usually need, like some of my spices. Those all come from overseas.
Right.
So think about that, y'all. And as you're doing that, make sure you are voting. IWillVote.com. Make sure you go there. Look at your status. Look at your status. Oh, Daisy, it's bad. She says, don't stock up on baby oil. Daisy. Oh my goodness.
Daisy, I'm just saying.
Daisy. Anyway, guys, I don't know what to say after that one.
No comment.
See you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining, and you guys rock. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And let me get to my little banners here because I want to make sure that I get there. There we go. Here's my banners. Okay, I'm letting the guys go. Oops, that's the wrong banner. That's the wrong one. There we go. Let me let these guys out. Bye, Elise. Bye, Brian. And I'm going to say goodbye to you also. Here we go. I think yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm out.